Prime Minister hosts a morning show at his doorstep, followed by a late show, often hosted by the Deputy Prime Minister, for ministers mere feet from this chamber. Unique circumstances may have made this a necessity in the pandemic's first few days. We are long past that. This minority government, however, seems to find it more comfortable to face the parliamentary press gallery than its parliamentary opposition.
Well, it's a big day and a lot of debate about what Parliament should look like in a pandemic. And it was an historic day that will impact Canadian politics for weeks, months, and maybe even years to come. Look, parties met to hammer out details on what parliamentary sessions, or COVID committee sessions, as they're technically called, will look like as the pandemic continues. The government has proposed a hybrid model with virtual and in-person sessions and summer sittings. But where do things stand now after a day's worth of debate? And how will lawmakers continue to meet? Should political parties really be taking the 75% wage subsidy as the Liberals, Conservatives, and the NDP are doing? So there's lots on the agenda. So let's kick it off today with the government House Leader, Pablo Rodriguez. Minister Rodriguez, always good to have you on the program. Hope you and the family are doing well. Look, your party has suggested that the special committee on COVID-19 meet 4 days a week, some gathering in person, others virtually. But what happens to the bills that aren't COVID-19 related? We're months into this. Your proposal only lets parliamentarians debate COVID issues. Why not expand it?
No, we can now debate other issues. Before, during the COVID committee, the questions had to be on the pandemic, on the actual situation. But through this motion, if it's adopted, the opposition can ask questions on any topic. It's the same when we come back during the summer. Questions can be asked on any topic, and we're there to answer.
So if that's the case, why not just resume normal sittings?
Well, how do you vote? How do you have MPs from different parts of the country coming here and voting, for example? Why it's only people that can drive from Montreal, Toronto, or from Ottawa that can vote and not people from different places? For us, it's extremely important that MPs from everywhere can participate. I think we have a good balance between parliamentary accountability and respecting, the health agency directives. And it's working, actually. If I was the opposition, I'd be happy. They have more questions this way, way more questions.
Well, no, sir, to be fair, they have way more questions, only if you count committee questions, which are totally different. But other countries like the UK have adopted a hybrid model. Why not just do a hybrid model and have some opposition say, just have 50 members there? You don't have to have everybody, just have 50. Other parties would accept that.
But Evan, that's what we're doing. We're going to have around 50 MPs in the House 4 days a week, and giant screens on both sides of the Speaker of the House, where you will be, that will allow MPs from the whole country to participate. It's going to be a hybrid model, excuse me.
Right, it's a hybrid model, but again,
yes.
I know this sounds technical for people. It might sound like, hey, we're in the weeds, but a COVID committee is different than a formal parliamentary sitting, just in terms of what legislation you could pass. And I know you've expanded. I'm just trying to say, what's the difference? Why not just get this reduced number, the reduced number of sittings, call it a regular sitting of Parliament, and then everyone's happy?
Well, we need to explore further how we can vote in this type of situation as a regular parliament. How can we involve MPs from other provinces? How can they vote electronically, for example? We're asking this motion, again, if it passes, the PROC committee to explore how we could vote electronically or in other ways, so we can have a full parliament with people on site, people through the screens, and all voting.
Mr. Rodriguez, the Prime Minister says now that the government will look into enacting paid sick leave for all Canadian workers. It was something that the NDP worked out. Was that a deal? You guys will do that if they get on board with your parliamentary plan. Was it a quid pro quo?
Well, it's part of the discussions. I mean, this is something extremely important for the NDP. They've been pushing for this, and they did an amazing work on this. And we also consider that extremely important, especially now that we're going to start reopening the economy. You don't want people that have to choose when they go back to work, if they go back to work, and even if they think they may be sick, or because they don't have anything to stay home, right? No salary, nothing to put food on the table. So it's part of the discussion we have with the NDP, and we're really happy to move forward with this important program.
It's provincial jurisdiction. You have to negotiate. So has the government got any indication that provinces want it, and how fast can it then happen?
Yes, there has been some initial discussions with provinces, not formal ones, but there is some interest from the provinces, and you're absolutely right, Evan. We have to sit down with the provinces. We all know this, and we will. The Prime Minister will sit down with his counterparts, with all premiers, to discuss this, because it's extremely important for Canadians.
So just quickly, any idea of how fast that can happen?
It's difficult to say, very difficult to say, but we're very engaged in this. It's very important.
The wage subsidy application is a really big thing. Your party filed for it. The NDP, the Conservatives, and the Liberals are all taking it, although some leadership candidates for the Conservatives don't want it, and the Bloc won't take it. Why should political parties who already get a lot of subsidies, I just want to remind our viewers, federal political contributions, you get 75% back, reimbursed off your tax for the first 400, 50% between 400 and 750, and 33 and a third back over 750s. Then you get, by the way, electoral, 50% of your election expenses are already reimbursed by the Canadian public, and 60% of every candidate in certain ridings are reimbursed. So why should you guys avail yourselves of the wage subsidy when your parties already have all those benefits?
Well, it's a decision made by the party, the Liberal Party. So they have all the information, which we don't. But the things that we have to understand is that this program was put in place for workers, for employees, for businesses, for nonprofit organizations. It's the key element here is to keep that link between the employers and the employees, and the parties, the different parties, the Conservatives, the NDP, and us, applied for this like any other institution.
But you guys, it's different than any other institution. You guys made the rule that you're now benefiting from because you can't raise money. But no other business in the country gets the kind of reimbursements a political party gets. You guys get your expenses reimbursed by the taxpayer. Taxpayers can write off donations to you. This is costing, the taxpayers already subsidized in the last election over $100 million. And this is going to be close to $700,000 a month. How do you say to Canadians, we get all these benefits, plus we get more?
The political parties have different structures than other organizations or the business sectors. We all agree on that. So why wouldn't then employees from political parties can keep their job? Why we tell them, okay, no, you lose your job. There's nothing for you there, and you will have to worry what to put on, if food on the table or this and that because you belong to a political party. The system is not there to judge who makes the request. It's there to keep that link between employees and employers, and to keep the people employed. And so that's why the different parties apply.
But, sir, just last question. Do you not see there's a conflict of interest where your very political organizations that are raising money that already have massive taxpayer support, now you've made rules that give even more support for your own parties? Why, with all those benefits, can't you just get your donations and support your workers?
But those are decisions made by officials. For public servants, there are criteria, there's rules, this and that. So, it's totally neutral. It's not partisan. They make their own decisions. The party applied. We're not consulted on that. The public servants decide. That's the same for all the parties. And I think the Conservatives in Alberta applied too.
No, but the Bloc didn't. All right. So you have no problem.
I don't even know if they have employees.
Well, they may have employees. I don't know. But they say they wouldn't apply. All right, Mr. Rodriguez, I really appreciate you joining us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That was a pleasure. Bye.